just found out a couple minutes ago, you know that guy that beat his dog? We started the show with it yesterday, caught on camera in a homelessness housing thing, paid for with your money, beating his dog senseless. Yeah, well, he was just released by a Seattle judge without any bail. Oh no, go ahead. Go back to the apartment that our tax money pays for, or you were just caught on camera beating your dog senseless, choking it from behind, punching it, throwing it. Yeah, not a problem. You don't pose a danger to anyone else. Like, not even a nominal amount of bail. It's so crazy with these Seattle judges, and we're trying to get the judge's name because we weren't there. We just got the email from the King County Prosecutor's Office. They asked for bail to be set and for him to be held. And then, of course, activist judges, they're like, no big deal. It's so weird, this pattern of things, because it's either like they set bail, for really like a murder, right? And they're like, okay, we'll set bail at $2 million. Or it's like, no bail. I mean, I covered the courts for years. It used to be like, okay, we're not going to set bail at $500,000, but $10,000. Because this is a guy who was just plucked out of a homeless encampment, and he's 19 years old, I think, born in 2005. His name's Isaiah David O'Neill Sapp. And we're looking into his criminal history, etc. But we know people living in this homelessness housing place on Capitol Hill, many of them were plucked out of this Burien homeless encampment that had all sorts of issues and just put there, again, paid for with our money, no case manager on site, which we'll get to momentarily. But you don't see as a judge, because a judge is supposed to determine these decisions based on threat to the community, right? If somebody is released, the likelihood that they'll reappear for court, because that's what bail, does, is it's sort of a monetary promise to reappear, and you're going to lose money if you don't come back to court. So it's sort of weighing how much money would it take to make sure that they come back to court. And then it's ability to pay, right? So it has to be sort of reasonable that you could come up with that amount of money. And so you're looking at this person's obviously indigent. But at the same time, okay, then set the bail at $5,000. Set it at something where they have to put something up to come back to court. This guy was beating a dog senseless. You don't think that somebody that beats a dog like that is capable of inflicting pain on a human being? Of course they are. So now I'm just pissed off all over again. No bail? Wild stuff. We will get the name of that judge. These judges, we have got 12 years of Jay Inslee judges. And I don't know how we ever come back from that. But so to set the story back up, again, on Capitol Hill, there had been some neighbors. They took a video through a window of what is an apartment building run by the King County Regional Homelessness Authority of this young guy beating this dog senseless. So then, of course, we had this fantastic update for you on the show yesterday where we learned Seattle City Council member Joy Hollingsworth, who represents the District 3 up on Capitol Hill, went down to that building yesterday, would not leave until the dog was safe. Would not leave, got to meet the dog, cute little 10-month-old pit bull mix named Angel. And so she flagged down police, and they did not leave until that dog was out of that apartment. Because one of the weird things that I can't wrap my mind around is police did arrest this guy over the weekend for animal cruelty. And he has to sit in the King County Jail until today because yesterday was a holiday. So there's a little bit of joy I get out of that. The fact that he didn't get a court appearance right away, had to sit there for a few days before a judge said, oh, go bye, go beat more animals, right? So she rescues this dog. And I gave her so much credit in the world yesterday for doing what apparently no one else would do. But one of the things that bothered me about it is the dog was still there. Why would you go in and arrest someone for animal cruelty and then not take the dog too? Because there was a woman living in this apartment. You see her in the video, and she's not doing anything to stop the dog beating. In this homeless, again, housing complex that they're living there with our tax money. So why would you not take the dog out immediately? There's some confusion about that we're still trying to get to the bottom of. But anyway, above and beyond this being a really sad story about this dog, obviously it has a nexus with the homeless industrial complex and the concerns, rightfully so, that this community has and had when they learned that this building was going to be used to house people who were coming out of homeless encampments. They had every right in the world to be concerned about possible criminal activity. There was criminal activity at the camp in Burien where a lot of these people came from. So just putting a roof over their head isn't going to stop what's leading to those issues like substance abuse and mental illness. So anyway, I mentioned, we were in contact with Councilwoman Hollingsworth yesterday. And we asked her to come on the show because almost more important than the fact that she saved this dog is the fact that she made the rounds on local news last night, saying what needs to be said about apartment buildings like this one and the risks, the public safety concerns associated with them. So we taped an interview with Councilwoman Hollingsworth earlier this morning. Here it is. Councilwoman, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Brandi.
Yeah, first question, how's Angel doing?
Angel's doing really well. We had a great meeting with the vet. She had a lot of love last night, a lot of food, a lot of just love and care, and just a lot of kisses too.
What's going to happen to her?
She right now she went to a foster home. I dropped her off there this morning, so she is with a loving family right now. She's going to get a ton of love, and I'll continue to get updates. But right now, we're just trying to nurse her back to health and make sure that she can be have a full, healthy life.
Yeah, obviously we saw the video. When got her, what were there any obvious problems with her?
Some of the obviously the problem, she was skittish, she was scared, very malnourished. You could kind of unfortunately see her rib cage, and she was just really timid, and you didn't know what type of internal stuff was going on, right? She has her rabies shot, what wellness check. So we did all that with the vet, and we got what needs to happen, and we got a plan forward to make her healthy.
Did I hear something about it's your family's veterinary clinic?
Yeah, we did. So we have two of them, and so
Yeah.
we took this one to our family vet clinic out in Renton. They were phenomenal and gave her so much love and care and attention, and we're just so grateful.
That's awesome. So there's a couple themes here I want to talk about, obviously, to kind of move forward with the story. I got to ask what inspired you to actually go. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the city, right? What was this like on a Monday where you're like, I'm going and I'm not leaving until it's taken care of?
Yeah, it was Veterans Day, so I know a lot of businesses and things were closed, especially the government. And also just seeing the video, I don't think anyone could watch that video and not want to act and figure out how they triage. I'm a problem solver, so I start trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do? Who do we need to call? How do we act? How do we do this in a very compassionate way? Because there's a lot of emotions involved in this. The community was really phenomenal. The Seattle Police Department were great, addressing the criminality in this piece with the abuse. And I think it ended well. We have a happy ending, and looking forward to seeing Angel be a dog again.
Yeah, so the suspect in this case, initially based on social media posts from people up in that neighborhood, they thought that police hadn't taken action. They were told at one point this is a civil matter, not a criminal matter, but it turns out that this guy had been arrested over the weekend. In fact, he has his first court appearance today. He had to spend a long weekend in the King County Jail because it was a holiday weekend. So we'll see what happens at his first court appearance. But I guess the question I have, and I don't know if you've been able to get this answer from Seattle PD, is if he was arrested for animal abuse, why was the dog left there?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, they had seen the video, and so he was the only one in the video committing an act of violence against a dog. But it was still in a situation that was just unfortunate. There had been reports from different neighbors seeing different, things happen to that dog left in there in that home, and we had to address it, Brandi. And I hope that we can start taking this very seriously about things that are happening in the buildings, situations that are spilling out into our streets, and making sure that people have the proper services that they can for their mental health and wellness.
Yeah, and that's what we need to talk about. And I said it on my show yesterday. I mean, there are people who are housed who have a home who abuse their animals. I mean, it's not an issue that's like specific to the homeless community or the formerly homeless community or anything like that. I want to make that clear. But this is not the first time this apartment building has been on your radar, correct?
It has not. We've gotten a lot of emails and people reaching out about some, drugs, uh, you know, uh, si- criminality, just certain things that are happening, people getting taken advantage of. Unfortunately, I'm not trying to demonize anyone in that building. There's just certain stuff that comes along with that. And so we're trying to address that because my prime focus here are obviously the neighborhood around it and then making sure the people in that building are safe.
Right. I mean, this is common sense stuff. So we find out that, a few dozen people living there had been taken from this very problematic, dangerous homeless encampment where people were dying in Burien and dropped in this building that's being run by the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. So when that happened, first of all, were you aware as it was going on that people were being brought in from that homeless encampment to live there?
No, I was not aware. It was brought to my attention. We have a ton of other buildings that we are, constantly trying to have to deal with certain things happening. So I was not aware, but I got the backstory and was very concerned about the case management piece that was missing. That's a critical piece to any of these buildings where we're bringing people, from that people are experiencing homelessness inside. And then now we have to have the wraparound services to make sure that they're safe and that, certain things aren't happening that are affecting people around them, which is incredibly important.
Well, and so that's true. So this what I saw is this building has no case manager.
From my understanding, it's in the middle of trying to figure out what that looks like, but as of now, that is not the case.
So these people who are coming in from a homeless encampment, given a place to live, there is no one there from King County Regional Homeless Authority, a case manager during the day to help them out.
From my understanding, I don't know. That's something that you might have to follow up with them. But what I am stressing for is that we have people on site 24/7 that can be able to make sure that we are being accountable and transparent about the services that we're providing for people. Because right now it's not working.
Well, or otherwise you're not really bettering their circumstance, right? If you take someone who's in active drug abuse who's living in a tent and then you put them in an apartment, like they've got a roof over their head, but you're not getting them help for the issue that probably landed them on the streets in the first place. The King County Regional Homeless Authority gets most of its funding from the city of Seattle. To what extent do you feel like there's been appropriate oversight of that authority?
Well, let me first say this, Brandi. I fully support King County Regional Homeless Authority. I think we need to have a regional approach. However, in addition to, we also need to have better accountability and metrics and understand what are we doing to move the needle? What are our measures of success, right? Those are basic fundamental pieces. What are our measures of success? And the other piece to this is making sure that people are good neighbors. I mean, that is a huge part to this. I can't begin to tell you how many people, especially families, are talking about their kids having to experience certain things, walking to get to places, or, stumbling upon certain things that is encroaching on, their front porch, or a daycare that's right around the corner from that across Broadway, that have to experience things that I don't think any parent would want their kid to see or have to, smell or be around. Like that's just basic, right? And that's not a political thing. That is a nonpartisan issue. Just being human beings. I want to stress that enough.
Well, yeah, and I think and I said this as much on social media last night, as awesome as you rescuing this sweet baby pup was, which is great, and I commend you for an extraordinary act of public service and caring. To me, the more powerful thing you did is get on the news yesterday and just tell the truth. Like, hey, because we can't make these systems better unless people in power, are willing to point out when they're falling short, right? Like, hey, no, we have to have case management here. We have to make sure the community's safe. We have to make sure these people are getting help. But for some reason, I feel like there aren't a lot of elected leaders who are willing to just point out clear deficiencies in our homelessness response.
Yeah, look, I'm willing to say that I'm a part of the problem too, because I work for the city of Seattle. And so I have to take ownership too as a government official to be like, hey, this is my problem as well. Like, when I say we as King County Regional Homeless Authority with the city of Seattle, all these government officials, we have to take responsibility. I've never been shy away to run away from accountability and transparency at all. And I think when you identify your flaws and holes, you want to get better. That's the athlete in me. Hey, how do we get better? How do we improve off this? You can't shy away from that. And I think if we could just come to a common sense approach of understanding that when we put people directly from an encampment into a building, that we have to give them wraparound services so they can be able to function properly within the rest of society, and they can be able to, continue to be self-sufficient. If we have to be able to start from that conversation in that place.
Yeah. So dog safe, that's taken care of. But as a councilwoman now with that hat on, who are you trying to talk to about that? Are you asking questions? Are you asking questions of whom? I mean, what is the follow-up you're taking as a councilwoman to make sure these deficiencies are being addressed?
Yeah, the follow-up, the first thing, so I have short-term goals and long-term goals. The short-term goal for this building specifically is, hey, who is going to be on site day to day, making sure that there's wellness checks for the people that are in the building, the staff that are there, and also the animals that are with some of the residents. That is number one. Number two is going to be, okay, what's our long-term solution to secure the building to make sure that some of the activities that are spilling out into the street, that some of the neighbors have concerns about safety stuff, get addressed with the various city departments that are going to be able to function. And last but not least, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Right. So what are those conversations going to be like with our regional homeless authority to make sure that, hey, when we, do certain things, that we have a game plan so we don't have instances, we can minimize stuff like this. You're going to have instances that happen like this, right? This just happened to be a really bad case of someone recording a very bad abusive situation of a dog. That was just completely unacceptable. And so, we're gonna have those conversations in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Let me end with this. You said something earlier I want to ask you about. You said, I support the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. I'll be frank, I do not. I think it should be disbanded. I have my reasons for that. Homelessness has gotten worse since the King County Regional Homelessness Authority began. There's been a lot of incompetence among leadership of that authority, which we're discussing elsewhere on the show today. But I guess, what has the King County Regional Homelessness Authority done that has earned your support?
Yeah, great question, right? I've seen them in action in terms of triaging different encampment resolutions, whether they're in different parts of the city. I understand the vision of where they're trying to go. I just don't think we have proper execution. And so I'm still, from my point of view, I think it still needs to be a regional approach. We just have to have better metrics and transparency. So I'm not willing to give up just yet, but I know that there's a sense of urgency, and we live in Seattle, Brandi. People are so willing to give their money and their heart and whatever if they have outcomes. They want to see outcomes. We are a very given city. I grew up here 4 generations deep. But people have to see outcomes, and that's what people are asking for now. And more than ever, we need to see improvement.
Yeah, and that's what this is all common sense. This is what we should all want. Like, if we've got X amount of money to go toward the homeless crisis, every single person who has care and compassion for these people should want that amount of money to be working toward actually achieving that outcome. And if we're doing things that aren't, then that money needs to be put somewhere else where we are having good outcomes. So, Councilwoman Joy Hollingsworth, thank you for saving the dog. Hero of the week. And for all the community members there who spoke up to bring you to that doorstep. And then, we'd like to watch and see what happens here in terms of case manager at that building, improvements in King County Regional Homelessness Authority, so we can get better outcomes, because that's the goal. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to get you to be a fan of the Regional Homeless Authority soon. That is
going to take, commendable goal. Commendable goal. I'd like to see them stop squandering money on things that aren't working, and some accountability. And that's where you come in, your fellow council members. The city of Seattle has as I said earlier, giving a lot of money toward that end. And so, you guys deserve to know what the outcomes are. Okay, good goal. We'll check back in 7 years and see if that goal has come to fruition.
Thank you, Brandi.
Councilman, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the kind of goal that it's like Governor Inslee's climate goals. You set them, you kind of forget them because they're never going to come to fruition. We appreciate the councilwoman taking time to come on the show. And I appreciate the attitude she's taking with these things. Community members shouldn't have to feel concerned about speaking up and saying, no, I deserve to be safe. Like, no, I have a problem with an apartment that's having no additional security or case management, where you're taking people out of homeless encampments who are dealing with issues like substance abuse and mental health and moving them in next door to me. Like, that's okay. It's okay to say that as a progressive. It's okay to say that as a liberal. It's okay to say that as a Republican. It's okay to say that as someone who has no political label whatsoever. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a NIMBY. It makes you just a real person who's concerned about your safety. And that's okay. And I'm glad that Councilwoman Joy Hollingsworth is telling them it's okay to think that too. And we do need to have better safeguards in place for law-abiding community members who aren't drug addicted, who aren't dealing with a mental illness, etc. So we will be following up on this. And for the love of God, we will also be getting to the bottom of what judge it was that set the dog abuser free without any bail to go back into the community. Just the order that, you can't have contact with animals. Yeah, I don't think he cares. Don't think he cares. Just insane.